Hi, I'm Tom Stone. I'd like to welcome you to this demonstration of dealing with chronic pain, in particular today, a case of fibromyalgia with Liz Rodgers. And Liz has kindly volunteered for this demo session. She lives in Hawaii, a beautiful place. And I'm going to introduce Liz to you and have her tell us a little bit about her situation, what she's been suffering with this body pain. Whatever we call it, doesn't matter, it's pain. That's a decent description. So this is Liz. Liz, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your history with this problem.
Okay, hello, my name is Liz. Yes, I live in Hawaii. I've been experiencing a horrific pain for about 10 years. My dad died in 2007, and it was the year thereafter that I just felt like I had the flu. I was chronically fatigued. They were calling it chronic pain syndrome. Well, just this year I took a blood test, and I tested positive for fibromyalgia. It was an 89 out of 100. I have been on morphine for probably 8 years, up to 240 milligrams a day. I'm currently weaning down with success. I'm taking about 90 to 105 milligrams now, but my pain was so bad, I really thought about taking my own life. If I didn't have a wonderful husband, I would not be here because the pain is so overwhelming. So that's about it. I'm working with my physician to come down, hopefully off the morphine, so I can get my life back. But it's been 10 years, 11 since I've been able to work. I was a registered nurse, loved working. It's just changed every facet of my life.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. Obviously,
Sure.
just the fact that you've had this and how it's really sort of sabotaged your life is obviously has some real emotion attached to it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is I think we're actually going to deal with the emotion about having the problem that was just being expressed. I think we'll deal with that first, because if we clear that out of the way, it's going to kind of leave a sort of more open, less reactive place for you to deal directly with the pain energies. This is actually exactly what I did with the woman yesterday who had chronic pain. And by the way, just to mention it, worked with Jasmine Colitis. She's had chronic pain all her life, very similar situation, but all her life. And again, on an excruciating level, like, you know, more than 10 on a scale of 10. I know you know what that.
Right, yes.
So the wonderful thing in her session, we were able to identify the specific energies, emotional energies, traumatic emotional energies stored in her body that were causing her pain. And we resolved all of them. And she was smiling and happy at the end of the session. Now we're going to follow up in about 3 weeks and just see, you know, did it make a difference? Is it lasting? You know, that kind of thing. And we'll do the same thing for you. And very interesting, there was someone else who I worked with on depression who also had, turned out she also had some grief. And the grief turned out to be the source of the depression. And it was similar. It's like she had started her symptoms after I think it was her father had died like 15 years ago. And then the symptoms had started and she'd been, so whether the stored, unresolved emotional pain turns into grief, or whether it turns into depression, or whether it turns into fibromyalgia, yeah, it all kind of depends on the circumstances of the person. Yeah. So why is it that people have so much trouble resolving emotional pain and have a tendency to store it in their body and have it become all these, you know, unpleasant, painful experiences? Okay. The reason is very simple. And I discovered this, by the way, when I was looking for a cure for my own post-traumatic stress after I got shot in the chest by a crazy guy back in 1993. And it's a complete miracle it didn't kill me. It was a 44 caliber handgun. The bullet is like that big, like unbelievable it didn't kill me. The assistant surgeon came in to see me while I was recovering, and he said, "Tom, you know, you're very lucky." And I said, "Excuse me, I just got shot in the chest. What do you mean lucky?" And he said, "Well, if you're going to get shot in the chest in close range with a 44, he said, 1 in 100,000 people would survive it. and 1 in a million would come out with as little damage as you've had. So I said, okay, in that context, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But in any case, there was physical recovery from the surgeries, but the biggest part of the recovery was from the PTSD. I had all the typical nightmares, flashbacks, startle response, hypervigilance, everything. So I went looking for an answer, and it took me a few years to find it, but I had this very, very simple insight, and that is that when we're little, this is for everybody, this is universal, we all get emotionally overwhelmed many, many times. And our little delicate body nervous system can't handle it, okay? And so we hate the experience of being overwhelmed. I've never met anybody who liked it, okay? And so everybody, to a person, rapidly learns to attempt to suppress the emotional pain so that they don't get overwhelmed. Makes perfect sense. It's such a simple insight. It's like, the thing is that this happens before people even learn how to talk. And so there's no words to describe it. It's just a feeling level, kind of a, kind of like it's just a pushing it down, push it under the rug. Unfortunately, if you put it under the rug, it's still under the rug. Okay, it doesn't actually make it go away. You might feel somewhat better temporarily, but it's in there waiting to be triggered, or if it accumulates more and more and more, then it can turn into physical illnesses like fibromyalgia or chronic pain. Okay, so this is a very, or high blood pressure or whatever it happens to be, so this is a very practical, realistic way of approaching the problem, because what's needed is everybody does this emotional suppression. They get so good at it, they do it automatically without even realizing it, okay? And so that's why it accumulates. Rather than getting rid of it, it just accumulates more and more. So what we need to do is to learn how to do the exact opposite of what you've been doing all your life. So instead of suppressing the pain, what we want to do is, because we couldn't complete it at the time, what we want to do is a new way of efficiently completing the experience of the pain, so that when it's completed, it's like really gone. There's no more energy in the body being stored that we have to keep under the rug. Okay, so this is exactly how I cured myself of the PTSD. I realized this, and I said, okay. So I experimented with allowing myself to feel the terror I could still feel in my chest when I just remembered the event. And I focused my attention in on the central, strongest part of that energy. The little 3-year-old in me thought, Tom, this is not such a good idea. But I said, okay, you just take it easy. I'm going to do it anyway. So I did it, and to my surprise and delight, after just feeling it for a little while, it started to soften a little bit. I thought, wow, this is cool. So I got my courage up even more, and I got even closer to it. That made it seem stronger again, but I just kept staying focused on the central, strongest part of the energy, just allowing myself to feel it. And even though it was intense, the first thing I realized, it didn't kill me to do that. It was just a sensation. Yeah, it was uncomfortable, but I could do it.
Yeah.
So I kept doing it, and I kept doing it, and it kept getting softer and softer and softer until it was completely gone. I thought, wow, this is amazing. Something, I might be onto something here. So I said, okay, so I thought about the whole getting shot experience. Didn't feel any terror. It was like gone. So I said, okay, maybe, but let's wait and see. I'll sleep on it. We'll see tomorrow. Now, I'd been having nightmares every single night since this happened. This is like 3 years later, right? So first thing when I woke up in the morning, I realized, oh my gosh, I slept through the night with no nightmares. First time in 3 years. Incredible, okay? And I thought about the incident of getting shot. No more terror. So there were a few other traumatic things associated with that whole thing. The ride to the hospital, the helicopter being delayed with a fuel leak to take me to the university hospital in Iowa City because they couldn't deal with it in a little small town in Iowa where I was living. Anyway, there were a bunch of stuff. So I used it on everything. All the traumatic experiences. Completely cured myself of PTSD. This is like unheard of. People just don't do that, especially on their own. Okay?
Right.
So then I started I started showing my discovery to friends and family, and I rapidly learned that you could use this for any kind of emotional stress. You didn't have to be severely traumatized in order for it to work. Right. So then, since then, that was 1997. I got shot in 93, 97. I started developing it as a whole system, started training people. And now for about the last 6 years or so, I've been traveling around the world teaching in different parts of the world. And currently I'm speaking to you from China, where I'm setting up a series of inner greatness centers where we use these techniques and also some other technology for physical pain. And it's going very well. We have 13 of them set up so far, and it's a great project. So anyway, yeah. So this really, I was going to say appears to be, but it doesn't appear to be. It is a major breakthrough for dealing with emotional stress and all of its ramifications, whether it be addictions or high blood pressure or fibromyalgia or, whatever, chronic pain. So this is why now I'm doing these free demonstration sessions, is because I'm turning this whole thing into a kind of a series of pilot scientific studies, okay? And what we're going to do is to quantify and validate that it's working. And then we're going to follow up in a few weeks, see that it's still working. Then we'll follow up in a few months, see that it's still working, right? Okay. And in the meantime, you're going to gain a new level of emotional competence, a new level of skill in handling emotion, because more stresses are going to come up in your life. We're living in human life, right? So you want to become skilled and good at being able to do this whenever something comes up, so you don't store it in your body and accumulate it again, right? We don't want it to come back. Okay, so that's the idea. Does that give you a kind of a feel for it?
Yeah.
All right. Now, one of the techniques that we use to guide the whole process of the session is called intuition testing or muscle testing. And this is a way of amplifying the subtle intuitive feeling that we get when we know something. And the reality is we know everything all the time, because the information from the universe is passing through us in every moment. There's a science about that, neutrinos and how neutrinos pass through everything and pick up the energy and carry it on to something else. And millions of them are passing through every inch of our body at every moment. So we actually know everything. But it's not useful information, because it's like having a radio in your car with no bandpass filter. You can't tune to the station. You get all the stations at once. You wouldn't be able to hear anything. It would just be cacophony. So like that, we're getting all that information, and we need a bandpass filter. Unfortunately, we have one, and it's called intention. So if I have the intention to just do this muscle testing thing to get the information just from you, and have only that pass through my amplifier, which is the muscle test, okay, then that means I can tune in to your station, and we can use your body's wisdom of your, the experiential wisdom that's stored in your body to guide the entire session. Now, it takes a little bit of training and practice to learn how to do this, but I've trained hundreds of people, and they all do it reliably. I have to admit, I'm very good at training people to do that. And I've been using it now for over, like 20, 25 years and become really skilled at it. So I just need your permission to test on your behalf, and that'll allow me to tune into your channel. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Sure. I always get a yes on that one. So anyway, that's the way I work. Now, the beauty of this is this pulls us out of our mind, and the mind can be influenced by thoughts that have emotional pain or ego-based energy at the basis of those thoughts. And so they can be not realistic. They can be illusory. Okay? But the body is not like that. The body has real knowing. Okay? For example, if you'd never tasted a strawberry ever in your life, and I described the taste of your strawberry to you, which is the mind, right? The intellectual understanding. You might intellectually understand about it, but you wouldn't know what it tastes like. Because you got to actually take a bite. You got to have the sensory experience of something with the body and the senses to know what something's really like, okay? So your body knows everything about all the experiences that you've had. All that information is there. And this rather special process, okay, gives us a way to access that information and guide the whole session. You'll see. It's kind of a little bit amazing, okay? All right. So what I'm going to do is, at the beginning of every session that we do, no matter what the topic, we always use something called the where to start chart, which helps us know where to start, okay? The reason for that is that millions of times a day, people go to some practitioner to get help with something, and the practitioner is limited by their scope of training. Right? Their training is kind of like a conditioning. They think inside the box of their training. Now, if, for example, somebody with depression, they go to a regular medical doctor and they say, I got depression. He gives them a prescription for antidepressant medicine. Right? Now, the depression actually lives on the level of our emotions, our consciousness, our experiences. That's where the real problem lies. But it's being approached at a chemical level. Now, all the chemicals can do is suppress the symptoms, okay? Like the morphine you're taking. It's not solving the problem. It's just suppressing the symptoms, right? Now, sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that as a way to get by until you can get a real answer, okay? So there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've had surgeries and had morphine, and thank God, you know, like surgeries after the bullet wound. I had 2 surgeries, and I really needed that. So it has its place. But we don't want to stay stuck on just masking the pain and you know, avoiding it for our whole life. If possible, we want to really get rid of it, okay? So it's an important distinction, and we use this special where to start chart, which I'm going to explain to you just now, in order to make sure that we start at the right level. Because we want to approach a problem where we're not going to just suppress symptoms. We're going to actually solve it. Okay? We don't like the idea of symptom suppression when it's not needed. When it's needed, it's fine. We don't have any problem with that, okay? But when it's not needed, we want to really solve the problem. So the 5 levels are the level of awareness or consciousness, which is where the pure awareness techniques we're going to use today, I'm sure, are useful, okay? The next level up is the energetic level. This is like CAT scan, MRI, ultrasound, lasers, you know, things that are energetic, technologies like that. The next level is chemical. That's like the morphine, drugs, toxins, diet, nutrition, supplements, things like that. The next level is mechanical or physical. This is like surgery, chiropractic, you know, setting of bones, physical therapy, exercise, all these kind of physical things. And the last level is the environmental level, which is kind of the name we've chosen for having an understanding about the returning influence of our past actions, right? There's a law, Newton's 3rd law of motion in physics, classical physics, says for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Now, if we take that to a broader view, not just like one action and its immediate reaction, but actions have delayed responses because the action affects everything. It's sort of like the influence of the action goes out and then it comes back to us at different times in different ways, depending on what it's kind of bouncing off of or reflecting back, right? So this is commonly known, the common term for it is karma. Yeah, and so when we have some negative karma returning to us, and that's the issue, then these pure awareness techniques and the energy modalities and stuff that we use, these are not going to solve the problem because the energy is coming from outside, right? And we need special procedures for that. There are experts in the world who know how to do stuff about that, which I actually know some of the best ones. In any case, that's not what we're doing today. We're going to be working, I'm going to test now and see what level we need to approach your problem at, okay? So in Liz's case, the best approach for resolving this problem is at the level of consciousness, the first level of the where to start chart. Yes, okay. The strong response is going to be like this, where the thumb and finger stay together, and the weak response will be like that, where this finger doesn't stay strong, and it goes like that. If we were doing it in person, some of the things I would test, I'd have you hold up your arm, and I'd have you say something, I'd press on your arm, and it would stay strong when it's like a match between what you're saying and what is in your body. And if it's not a match, then your arm would go weak, okay? So for example, if I say for myself, if I say my name is Tom, and I go like that, then I get a strong response because my name is Tom. So for you, if you say my name is Liz, please say my name is Liz.
My name is Liz.
And I test for you, and it's strong, okay? Yeah, and you don't have to test. I'll do all the testing, no problem. I can do it remotely, which takes a little practice and learning, but you can do it. I can do it. So now say, my name is George.
My name is George.
Now I test that, and it's not strong because your name isn't George. I once was teaching a seminar, and the person I used for the demonstration was a woman, and her name was George. Yeah, it was kind of a funny time. Anyway, so now we know that this problem is best addressed at the level that we can address it on through the video conferencing, which is great. Yeah, other kinds of modalities, you need, you know, chemicals or energy, or then you have to be in person a lot of the time. But this is great because we can do it remotely, and it's working terrifically. I've got a whole bunch of these now done, and the recordings are starting to get up on the web. You'll be able to see them, and if you like, you can review yours. So 100% of the problem can be resolved at this consciousness level. Fantastic. What this means was, this is good news, really good news, because it's very likely that we can get a real breakthrough for you here, okay? Because what this means is that 100% of the problem is just what I was explaining as we were beginning to talk today, that 100% of the problem is due to these suppressed, repressed emotional energies being held and stored in your body. And you've just had enough of them, and an intensity level of the ones that you've had, that, you know, they've accumulated in such a way that, you know, you can't not feel them, okay? Unless you get some help, like from the morphine, okay? Now, it's interesting you mentioned that this started after the passing away of, it was one of your parents?
My dad, yeah. We
Yeah,
were
your
really
dad,
close.
yeah. If you're, especially if you're really close to him. Yeah, so very interestingly, the unresolved grief from that, and you probably can even still feel the sadness. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So that's probably going to be the one we're going to start with, because it's probably one of the main origin stresses. Okay. But I'm going to test to see how many, and this is a very, very specific intention. So we're really tuning into exactly the right frequency, right? The right channel. Okay. I'm going to test for how many of these traumatic energies are the ones that are really the main root causes of your pain. Okay? Because we only have so much time we can take for this today. I mean, I'm not limited to an hour. If we go longer, we can go a couple hours. It doesn't matter to me. It's okay. So there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4. There are only 4. Wow. Now, you have pain all over your body, okay? But there are 4 particular centers of places where your body has stored the traumatic energy that are the root cause of all the pain in your body. Okay? Now, some of the pain in your body, and you may be able to relate to this, is probably due, this was true yesterday when I worked with Jasmine, it's probably due to kind of clenching up in a kind of resisting or attempting to, you know, hang on and deal with the pain. Some of it may, yeah, so you can relate to that. So some of the pain is actually kind of a secondary reaction to the presence of these deeper, more root cause pains. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm having this very specific intention because we want to really get to the true root cause energies that are causing the problem. Okay. Now, when I say energy, I'm using the word energy because emotions, whether they're traumatic emotions or whatever kind of emotions they are, even good emotions, they have content and energy. Okay? The content is what the emotion is about. Okay? The energy is the sensation that we feel of the unresolved energy that's held in the body. Okay? Now, so what we're going to do is we're going to start, and there are 2 different techniques. We need both of them. Yeah, there are 2 different techniques that we're going to use. One is called the out technique, and the out technique is for dealing with a little bit different kind of emotional experience. There are basically 2 fundamental kinds of emotions that we have from an energy perspective. Okay? From an energy structure perspective. One is called in, the other one is called out. Very simple names, and they describe exactly what we do. Okay, for the traumatic pain ones, that like the ones that we're going to go after, these 4 that are there, these are all in technique energies. This means there's a kind of tight knot or ball of held, unresolved, incomplete emotional energy. This is there because you had some painful experience. It was too much to handle when it happened. And so there's still some of it left there. You didn't have a chance to complete it, especially with your deep habit of suppressing the emotions. You don't want to feel it.
Mm-hmm. Nobody
Nobody wants to feel it.
Yeah.
And so because of that, there's a residue. I sometimes call it a residue. There's a residue of the pain held in the body, okay? And that residue of pain still in there because you still keep wanting to avoid feeling it, so you don't go there, okay? So this is what I mean about you're going to learn how to do something that's the opposite of what you've been doing all your life. I'm going to show you how to feel the pain in a very efficient way so it's not so difficult, okay? And it's very efficient for gradually completing the incomplete experience of the painful energy that's held there, okay? So it's going to be a little bit painful, but it's not bad. Everybody I've taught it to, they say, oh, yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable, but I can do it, okay? Okay, all right, so just to kind of prepare you, okay? So, yeah, when I first tried it, first thing I noticed was, oh, it doesn't kill me to feel the pain, you know? The terror feeling I was talking about, I was like, didn't kill me to feel it. Okay, great, I can do this. All right, and you'll be able to do it too, you'll see. It's really not as difficult as people think. You see, we have a 3-year-old inside us that's terrified of this. And it's the one saying, no, 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 don't do that. You got to be crazy. Don't go there. Okay. But that's the 3-year-old. You're not 3 anymore. No way. Okay. So the in technique energies are like that. The out technique energies are quite different. And I mentioned we're going to first clear this kind of, you've got some sadness and sometimes it's even hard to put words to the emotion, but you've got some still wish it wasn't the way it is. Yeah. It's like a kind of an upset over the unmet expectation. You had expected life to be reasonable, comfortable, happy, but it hasn't been that way for you. So it's completely understandable and reasonable that you would have this kind of reaction, but we don't want this reaction getting in the way of our process today. So we're going to clear that up first. Okay? So when you were talking about it when we first started, I could see the pain in your face about, the upset about this. And it's not hard for you to get in touch with that. Okay? Now, when you do get in touch with it, you're typically and commonly used to kind of getting overwhelmed by it. Sometimes it probably even makes you cry. Okay, yeah. Could be, yeah. And what we're going to do this time is instead of getting sort of lost to being overwhelmed by the emotion, I'm going to have you notice that when you think about this issue and you feel that energy, the energy sort of radiates out from your body and fills up the space around you, and it kind of surrounds and engulfs you. And if you think about it, you may be able to realize, because you've had it many, many times. It's like that, okay? Now, normally we don't pay that much attention to that, but we're kind of stuck inside of it. It's like a kind of cloud that engulfs us, okay? So the out technique is actually very simple. All you do is you first get in touch with the energy so you can feel it, and then you let your awareness move out into the space around you further and further to just go see how big the cloud or aura of energy is. And what we're looking for is the place where at the outer edge of the energy, it sort of fades off into the surrounding quietness. Now that quietness is your awareness. It's the awareness you're using for having the whole experience. But people don't know to go there, okay? And normally people don't spend much time noticing their own awareness because there's nothing there. It's just empty, okay? It has to be so that we can have all of our experiences in it, okay? Right, so kind of uninteresting, but today we're very interested in it, especially in experiencing it outside this cloud of energy, because the moment you get out into that quietness, you won't be in the energy field of that upset anymore. You'll see, it's a very different experience, okay? And then I'll guide you through the rest of the steps of it. We go deep into the quietness, then we look back and we see the energy is typically kind of getting weaker and shrinking and fading away, just happening like that. And then we can easily see that there's some story there that's the basis of that emotional reaction. And the reaction is actually to the story, not to what's happened in your life, but actually to the story you're hanging on to. And you're running this story frequently, inadvertently, not realizing that you're doing it because you're inside the energy cloud, you don't realize you're doing it. But the moment we get outside, it's like the whole picture becomes clear. It's like a completely different situation. You see it in a whole new light. And we're going to then question whether there's really any benefit to allowing this story to continue to be in your awareness. Now, we can do that once we get outside the energy cloud. If we try it beforehand, it doesn't work. The energy cloud makes everything seem so real because you're kind of seeing through it. It's kind of like having dark glasses on. Everything is tinted by it, right? Okay. So once we get outside of it, it's like taking the dark glasses off. Oh, I can see things now in a new light, right? So then we'll challenge the usefulness, value of keeping the story, and you'll realize it's absolutely pointless. Not doing you any good whatsoever. Right? Not improving your life. In fact, it's draining your energy. Right? Absolutely. So you'll be in a position then to just decide to let it go. And amazingly enough, that's all that's needed. Just decide, and then the energy and the story just collapse back into the nothingness out of which you created them in the first place, and they're gone. And you're now so aware of that, there's no way you'd bring it back. So that handles that. That's the out technique. And then we're going to start with that one. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So glasses on or off, your comfort level, whatever you like. No problem. Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes. And it's ideal to keep them closed throughout the whole exercise.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes, sit comfortably, and I'll walk you through it.
Okay.
Now, it may be that just thinking about all these past years of struggling with this pain, it may be pretty easy to get in touch with your upset over that has been your situation. Yeah. Now that energy, rather than collapse into it and have it overwhelm you, go see how big it is. Go see how big. Notice that there's a cloud of energy all around you. Yeah, that's it. And go see how big it is. And you do that by just moving out through the energy field until you come to the outer edge, and then you keep going. You go out beyond that, and the energy sort of fades off into the surrounding quietness. And when you get to the quietness and you're really outside the energy, then just let me know.
Okay.
Okay, it's not difficult. Okay. Now, go a little bit deeper into the quietness. You do that by just noticing the area of the quietness that's a little further away from the energy cloud. And this helps to get the distinction between the energy and the quietness even more clear. Not hard to do. Okay, good. And now go much, much deeper into the quietness, quite far away from the energy cloud.
Okay.
And notice that there's no end to it. You can just keep going. Right? There's no limitation. It's just kind of vast, limitless, expansive. And take a moment to just enjoy that and notice that there's no upset energy out here. Just quiet and peaceful, right? Yeah, nice place to hang out. Okay, now as you look back at the cloud of energy that you were inside of just moments ago, what's happening to it?
It's much smaller.
Much, much smaller, yeah. And it doesn't have the grip on you that it had when you were inside of it.
Right.
Yeah. Now, notice that there's been a story running kind of not fully conscious that it's been happening, but there's been a story running in the background, something about, oh, shouldn't have happened this way, or why me, or poor me, something like that. You get that? Get a sense of that story? Yeah. Now notice that the upset reaction is actually a reaction to the story, not to your circumstances. The circumstances, come and go, right? But the story has been kind of habitually running in the background, kind of like a bad habit. I mean, we grow up in a world where everybody does this. They create expectations, their expectations are not met, and they get upset. So we all learn to do that, okay? And this is one of those kind of situations. Now, the key to having this be completely gone and not coming back is to be able to let go of the story and not allow it to be in your awareness anymore. And now I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, okay? So the first question is having this story in your mind helping to reduce your pain?
No.
No. So is it helping you to have the life you want in any way, shape, or form?
No.
No. And so would you say that this is a good investment of your life energy to keep allowing this story to be in your mind?
No.
No. And do you feel now that you're outside the cloud of energy, do you feel more of a sense of choice or kind of empowerment that you have the decision as to whether you put any energy into this story or not?
Yes.
Excellent. So then all you have to do, Liz, is just decide not to give it any more energy. It's just like unplug the power cord and be done with it.
Okay.
Okay. And what you'll notice, the moment you do that, the story and any remaining energy will collapse back into nothingness and they'll be gone. Get a sense of that?
Yes, I do.
Isn't that magical?
It is.
Very good job. You did it really well. Actually, very quickly and well. It's great. You can open your eyes. Okay, excellent. Now, I just want you to think about the whole situation that you've been having to go through with this pain stuff and see if there's any of that sort of, oh, why me kind of feeling left.
Not really.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent job. There's more of that we need to deal with. No, Liz did it perfectly. Great, fabulous, good work. Okay, we're off to a great start. I think you're going to be very good at this. All right, so now Liz told me before we started the call that she's taking morphine so that she can not, and actually she mentioned in her introduction about herself, she's taking morphine to, to manage, to get by, okay, and deal with this pain. Now, this means that there's a lessening of her awareness of the pain, but I asked her before we started, can you still feel it even a little bit? And she said yes. Okay, so if she can feel it at all, that's really all we need, because once we get access to where the pain is stored in the body, I'm going to guide her to be able to complete the experience of the energy that's held there, even with the influences of morphine there. And this is quite possible for Liz. Yes, it's very possible. Okay, so we're going to do that. So we tested that there are 4 in-technique energies, 4 of these traumatic energies. And I'm pretty sure the first one that we want to go for is the one of your residual grief about your dad passing. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Now, when you think about this, you may easily feel overwhelmed and feel like you're going to cry, and it looks like it now. Now, there's a way, crying is okay, it's not bad, but it's not an efficient way of resolving the energy. So there's a better way, and I'm going to show you what to do, okay? So go ahead and allow yourself to feel that, and it does feel very painful, but I want you to put your focus of attention right into the center of the strongest part of the pain. There's a field of energy there. Where do you feel it in your body? Now, yeah, so rather than collapse into it, Liz, listen to me now. This is very important, okay? Rather than collapse into it, notice where the energy pain is in your body, probably in your chest or belly someplace, okay? Yeah, notice there's a field of energy there. And in the field, there's a place where the energy feels the most intense, right in the center typically. Now I want you to, if you notice the central strongest part, it's completely okay. If you notice the central strongest part of it, immediately you won't feel like crying because it'll give you a slight distance from it. Is that possible? Now your tendency is going to be to get sucked into it, and the solution is not to let that happen, but to stay focused right into the center of the strongest part of the energy. Now, it may feel too intense. What you can do is just back up a little bit. Bring your awareness a little bit away from it and adjust the distance so it's not so intense. You can do that.
Okay.
Okay? And now, keep the focus of your attention right into the center of the strongest part and adjust the distance so that you can really feel it, but it's not overwhelming. As long as you stay focused on the central, strongest part, you won't feel like crying. Which is true now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Good job.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna be great at this. Okay. Good. So go ahead back in, close your eyes, go back in, notice that central, strongest part of the energy. And what we're going to do is to gradually complete the incomplete experience of the pain that you felt after your dad's passing. Okay. So it's going to take a little while, but here's what's going to happen. As you focus on that central, strongest part, as long as you stay focused on that, you won't slip into it and cry. You won't slip into the energy and being overwhelmed by it. Okay? So you stay focused on the central, strongest part, and gradually, it's kind of gradual, but you're in the process of starting to complete the incomplete experience that's held there just by allowing yourself to notice it in this special, focused way. And it will gradually start to soften and become less. And it might take a little while for that to happen. Doesn't matter, that's fine. But when it does start to soften, let me know.
It's softening.
Already softening up? Already, fantastic. This is great. Okay. Now, as it softens, this allows us to get your courage up a little more and get a little bit closer to it. Just enough closer that you can really feel it and stay focused on the central strongest part. That's the key to success. Okay. And get the distance just right. When it's just right, it means you can really feel it, but it's not overwhelming. And as you just continue to gently notice it, don't try to make it go away. Don't try to do anything to it. Just notice it. The noticing is enough to start or continue the process of completing the incomplete experience of the energy that's held there.
Okay.
Yeah, gets softer again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now you can get closer again. So each time it gets softer, immediately get closer. Now that'll keep the intensity level fairly high as you do that. That's okay. That's what we want. We want to be able to feel this energy so thoroughly that there's nothing left to feel. So each time it gets softer, get closer, get softer again, get closer. We just keep doing that until you can't find it anymore.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So scan around and see if there's any of it left.
No.
Fantastic. Okay. Open your eyes. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cats love this.
Excuse me, I need to close my door.
No problem. No problem.
We have a dog, a puppy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, animals tend to love it. When people do this, I've noticed the animals come in and try and sit on their lap.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she was trying
They
to
know
do.
something's good is happening here. Okay, very good. So now, in order to test this, Liz, just think about your dad. Feels good to think about him now.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. Usually after this kind of thing, when I ask people, they say, yeah, there's no more pain. All I can feel is my love for the person. Yeah, very good. Excellent. Great job. Okay, so that's one trauma down. This is one of the central ones that's been at the basis of your pain. Okay? So we're going to go for number 2. And we're going to use, because we don't necessarily have circumstances that you can remember, other traumatic ones, although I'm sure they've happened. Okay? And we don't have to go looking for the circumstances. We have actually a more efficient way of getting to the energy. And because we're looking for the very specific energy of just the ones that are at the real root cause of your chronic pain, your fibromyalgia, okay, we're going to use this technique. It's called the locate technique, and I'm going to show it to you now. Okay. So you ready for going for the next one? Okay,
Yeah.
great. You're doing super, by the way, just really good. In fact, you're one of the quickest students, new students I've had. This is great. Yeah, I think you have a knack for this. Okay, so let's go ahead and close your eyes again. And I'm just going to describe what you experience when your eyes are closed and you're sitting like this. You can feel, obviously you can hear sounds, sound of my voice, bird chirping, other sounds. And you can feel your body sitting there, and however your arms, shoulders, everything are positioned, elbows, hands. You can feel that. The other main thing that you experience is you have thoughts coming and going in your mind. Now, what I want you to do is to observe those thoughts at a little bit of a distance, almost like what we just did regarding the crying thing. Just kind of notice them. And just for now, don't be concerned about the meaning or the content of the thoughts. Just be sort of an observer, like just observing the phenomena of thoughts occurring in your mind. Yeah? It's easy to do. Okay. Now, these thoughts are occurring in a background of silence. That silence is the same silence that you got to when we went outside that energy cloud. And it's also the same silence that you experienced when the energy of the grief pain disappeared, was gone, and then you were in that same quietness again. You can recognize that, right? Yeah. This is your awareness, okay? At the end of both in and out techniques, you end up in your awareness. Go ahead and keep your eyes closed. Okay. You end up in your awareness, and that's why we call them the pure awareness techniques, because that's where you end up. Yeah. Very, very special phenomena. So now, each time a thought comes, the thought is occurring in that background of silence. And there's a useful analogy here. If you look up at the sky on a partly cloudy day, you can see the sky and you can see the clouds. And the way you see the sky is you notice the cloud, you look off to the side of the cloud, and there it is. The sky's right there. It's always there in the background. Like that, your thoughts are analogous to the clouds. We're not looking for clouds in sky. Your thoughts are analogous to the clouds. The background of silence is analogous to the sky. So what you do when you have a thought is you're going to start looking off to the side of the thoughts and noticing that kind of empty quietness in the background in which the thoughts are occurring. So go ahead and give that a try. It's not hard to do. And you won't stay in the quietness for a long, extended period of time because another thought will come along. And that thought will sort of interrupt the quietness. But that's okay, because we're not trying to get rid of thoughts. What we do is we just look off to the side of the new thought and notice the background of quietness yet again. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not difficult. So what I'd like you to do now is to have a series of kind of tastes of that quietness. By each time a new thought comes, you don't even have to complete the thought. Just look off to the side, notice the background of silence, and just do that again and again. And you're going to start to cultivate a kind of sense of that quietness better and better. Yeah, that's it. You're getting the hang of it. Okay, very good. Now, the reason we do this is that in this quietness, when you tell your body to show you the next priority energy that's at the real root cause of your pain, there's nothing in the way. There's nothing to distract you. It makes it possible to allow yourself to feel it. Now, you got a lifetime of avoiding it, so you have to actually kind of decide, when the body shows it to me, I'm going to let myself feel it. Okay. So go ahead and tell your body just by thinking it. Say, come on, body, show me the next in-technique energy that's contributing to, it's been at the real root cause of my chronic pain, my fibromyalgia. And pretty much immediately, the body's going to show you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you'll feel some tightness someplace, a constricted feeling inside. You got it already? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
good. So, yeah, so we're going to do the same thing we did with the grief pain. Okay, bring your awareness closer to it. This one's not quite as intense. It's not as much of a threat to overwhelm you, but don't get too close so that it does overwhelm you. Okay, just get close enough that you can really feel it, but not so close as to be overwhelmed. And put your attention again right into the center of the strongest part of the energy. And as it gets softer, get closer to it. And then immediately get closer to it each time it softens. Right near the end, when you get close to completing it, the energy will kind of dissipate and dissolve, so the experience starts to change. And it just sort of drifts away, a little bit like the fog burning off in the morning sun. And then you're back in the quietness.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. You're doing it very quickly. That's good. Yeah. That one gone?
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. Want to go for the next one?
Sure.
Okay. So again, you're already in the quietness, so you can tell your body, okay, body, show me the next one. And it will. Got it already? Okay, good. So let's go for it in the same way. Get close to it, just the right distance. Focus on the central strongest part. And allow yourself to just get closer each time it softens until it's gone. It's gone, gone. You're already getting the hang of this. And it's not so difficult, right?
Right, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, it's not so difficult. It's just unfamiliar.
Yeah.
But now you're starting to learn how to do it. This is terrific.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. So only one more to go. Go ahead and tell the body to show you this last one.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, you're really fast at it. That's great. Okay, so there's something more. No, Liz got all of the energies that are the real root cause of her pain. Yes. Something else we need to do to completely resolve this issue? No. Okay, you can open your eyes. Superb work, Liz. You're gonna be so good at this. You can actually become a teacher of this. This would be great. Excellent. Really, really good job. Okay. So there's some other thing that needs to be done other than just following up in a few weeks. No. Okay. So now you're going to need to intelligently manage the process of this weaning off of the morphine. It's great that you're already working on that, right? Mm-hmm. So, and you need to do that in conjunction with your doctor, because I'm not a doctor and I can't tell you what to do about your medication. Okay. So you work with him, and as you feel, I'm quite sure that you're going to start to not feel like you need so much. Okay. Like probably pretty much right away. Okay? So you work with him and gradually wean yourself off. And if you start feeling some pain, some of the pain is being caused by you've got a similar situation to Jasmine I worked with yesterday. Okay? Some of the pain in your body is caused by sort of clenching up in resistance to the pain that's been there. Okay? Now that pain's been there quite a long time. Okay, like it mainly started like when your dad died. How long ago was that?
2007.
Yeah, that's like 11 years. That's a long time. So you have a kind of habit of sort of resisting and kind of clenching up as a reaction to the presence of the pain that you didn't know how to resolve. Okay, so some of the pain you're experiencing in the rest of your body has been a kind of secondary reaction to the presence of the real cause of the pain that we've just resolved. Okay, so if you start to feel that, see if it's possible not to take the morphine, but just to kind of, in fact, what you can do is, you know, that looking off to the side of the thoughts and going into the quietness. Okay, try that instead of the morphine.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you go there and it's not like a real pain you need to feel, but just a kind of tightening up, when you go into that quietness, your body will just relax. Okay.
Okay.
And so there are sort of two levels to the pain. There was the root cause of the pain, which we've just resolved. And there's been this sort of secondary clenching up type of reaction that's caused tightness in the muscles and pain anyway, right? It's just been, it's kind of a, in a way, sort of a natural reaction, like kind of reaction to it. But you don't need that reaction anymore. But you've got a long-term habit of doing it. So it may take a little while to get the feel for how to just stop doing that and relax, even though the pain is gone. Okay.
Okay.
So you'll see. Okay. You'll see. You're doing very, very well with this. I think you're going to get it very quickly. Okay. So work with your doctor on weaning off if possible. And let's follow up in about 3 weeks, approximately. Yeah, give you some time to kind of make some progress. And let's see how you're doing. If you're still having some problem with something and we missed something. No, we didn't miss anything. But if something else comes up, you know, in the meantime or whatever, then I'll help you. I'll support you.
Thank you so much, Tom.
You're so welcome, Liz.
Wow, I feel kind of bricks are off my shoulder.
Oh, wonderful. So you're feeling lighter.
A lot lighter.
A lot lighter. This is excellent. This is a good, that's what people say when they get that heavy, unresolved emotional stress pain out of their body is, oh my God, I feel so much lighter. It's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This is really, really good. You did a super job, Liz. I'm so thrilled for you. And I really look forward to touching base with you. We'll make an arrangement by email, okay? And we'll set up a time. And we don't need much time, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most. You know, you can just give me a little report on how you're doing. And then we'll see. And then again, we'll follow up again probably in about 3 months, just to make sure that it's really lasting, holding, we've got the solution. Okay?
Great.
Fabulous. Yeah, you got a big smile on your face.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Very good. And I'll also send you a little bit of information about some additional resources that you may want to take advantage of to become really good at this, so you can do it on an ongoing basis, right? So that you stop accumulating the stress. So we'll provide some extra other support resources, okay? Oh, and I'll send you the link also to the app. I have this app where you can guide yourself through it, and that's a wonderful resource. And that's all free. That part's free. There are a few other things we charge for later if you want them, but they're only like for, you know, a more advanced kind of approach, which you can consider if you like. But at the moment, the main thing is just to get you free of this pain.
Thank you
all right.
so much.
You're very, very welcome. Great. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Thanks
Take care now. You're very, very welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.